live from the Drew Estate Cigar Studio in Boston, Massachusetts. Welcome to the Spare Notes series with your hosts, Matt Tobacco and William Cooper.
And good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of the Spare Notes series. My name is Matt Tobacco from SmokingTobacco.com, and I am joined once again by my very good friend, Mr. William Cooper of Cigar-Coop.com. Both of us are fresh off of trips to two major cigar industry events, and we're going to talk more about that later in the show. Our co-host, Mitchell Santaga of SmokingTobacco.com, is not with us tonight. He is sitting this one out, but he will rejoin us for the next one. It's been a busy couple of weeks. I don't think we've seen you guys in about 3 weeks. A lot to talk about, but Mr. William Cooper, how are you?
I'm doing good, Matt. Yeah, it's been a busy. I was on a major stretch for about 13 days on the road.
Yeah, you were.
And I have one more trip, but it's Great Smoke. And then I am really going to probably shut it down for the most part until PCA.
Yeah.
So, so I may have a small trip here or there. There may be one more trip to Miami, but I think for the most part, my plan is to shut it down until PCA.
Well, I'm kind of in a similar boat. We're a little bit more on the reduced travel side this year because of Nicole's pregnancy. So,
yeah.
just trying to pick and choose. We may go on one more trip in the spring. That'll be mostly non-cigar related, mostly to go see our friends, but we haven't determined that officially yet. Other than that, if that happens, that will be Nicole's last travel of the year. I will be at PCA with Mitchell, as well as the rest of the Smoking Tobacco team. So I'm looking forward to that. And then after that, I'll probably not travel for a few months for after when the baby's born. So it's gonna be a weird year, but we'll get through it.
Yeah, I just wish the industry would just realize that there's 12 months in the year, and they cram all this stuff in between January and March, and it's gonna get worse. It's not getting better, and I just don't understand it. Understand it.
It's about to get very worse, and most people are gonna know why eventually.
Well, no, I mean, it's the worst kept secret. The story, the buzz is that PCA is going to move the show up to probably April. So,
yeah.
I mean, it's not a secret. It's
happening.
Written about. It's not confirmed, but it's rumor. But I think there's a lot.
There's enough of a rumor that it's happening.
Yeah.
So, and I know Jay Davis has chimed in with us. He at the Big Smoke can't hear you. Yeah, well, I mean that's probably because there's a lot.
Tell Pope Marvin to get the sound organized there. Come on.
I know.
Come on,
let's go.
Pope Marvin. Come on, Pope Marvin.
Go kiss the ring, Jay. Come on.
go kiss that ring. How about? By the way, wow, all those cigar industry videos and photos today there were more today than all of TPE. Which the cigar industry laid an absolute egg on promoting themselves at TPE, and I think there's a reason for it. I don't think they wanted to promote themselves at TPE.
Yeah,
I do. I actually feel that because I think there's some concern about the alternate products, and I think they downplay it.
I think so too. I can tell you that it's while it's a good size area in the premium cigar sector, it's not anywhere near what PCA is, and all the other products outside of premium cigars completely swallow that trade show hall. And I mean you have cigars and then you have everything else. It's crazy, but TPE is Bush League. It is a rounding error for our industry. So it sounds like Jay the last time I checked, Jay didn't really drink much anymore, but he may be having a good time at the Big Smoke there. So I don't know. He's coming out of the gate hot.
He's been feeding me some info throughout the day. He's doing a good job being a correspondent here. So he's been doing a good job.
Is Jay Davis now part of the Coop team too? I mean, how many?
Yeah, no, Jay. Look, Jay is not part of the Coop team, but he's part of the Coop family. I guess is the best way to put it.
Okay.
Close
enough.
In other words, he doesn't have to show up for work, but he's always welcome at any Coop function. So
okay,
party,
okay.
yeah.
All right, he gets all right. Just water and coffee today. Good, Jay. good. Especially I keep thinking Vegas because of Big Smoke Vegas, but they're in
Wow,
Florida,
wow,
so.
I hope Marvin brought some good coffee in too. For that, yeah. Man, when Marvin Shankin comes on stage, does this industry just bow? I mean, did you see like that when he did today? I mean, wow. I mean, it was just like, I mean, it's like the Pope coming out at the Vatican. I was like, look at that. There's a
Oh
reason
my
why I call him
God.
Pope Marvin. I mean, there's a reason. I mean, this industry stands still for this guy.
I know. Everyone loves Marvin Shankin. I may have gotten a contact high from Jonathan Carney. Well, that's a privilege, Jay. That's a privilege. So don't take it for granted. All right. By the way, shout out to Jonathan Carney, who was a true friend this week. That's all I'm gonna say. He knows what it means. True friend. He's a good dude.
Oh, he was a great friend down in the Dominican for me, and I'll tell some stories.
Oh, I know you will.
Especially,
You got a lot to say.
I mean, especially the car ride with Lido and stuff. Yeah.
Oh yeah, you
But
keep
some
bringing
folks
it
probably
up.
already heard the story. Oh, Leo gave me a personal tour of the Dominican Republic in the back seat of his luxury SUV.
So, right before we started the show, I said to Coop, I go, "Wow, you really lived it up there in Pro Cigar," and he's so casually, like he was Gene Simmons. Well, that's just the way I roll. I'm like, okay. You know, just so for the record, Cigar Coop is cooler than you. I mean, if you're watching this show,
No,
Cigar Coop's cooler than you, whether you like it or not. I mean, if you saw with this dude, how this dude was living at Pro Cigar last week, I mean, you'd be like, man, I suck. He had the time of his life.
Listen, I ain't gonna lie. Pro Cigar is not as hard as covering a trade show. Okay. By any means, but yeah, so I'm not lying about that. It's a little more relaxed. It does go late. That's the only thing I don't like about it.
It's a different experience, though.
Totally different experience.
Yeah, it's not like anything like a trade show. It's very different.
The one thing is, and I need to do a better job at this next year. I need to capture the vibe of the festival better in my car, and I did not capture the vibe of the festival because there's things that go on there that and maybe that will be transformed through some video. Like, for example, I did put up some video of Michael Herklotz doing the auction, and that was just amazing when you see him do the auction in person. And it's things like that I felt that I need to do more of that to capture the vibe of that week in the Dominican Republic. And that's something I learned this year, and I got to do a better job with.
Right. Peter has commented with us, and we can talk about this. This is a good talking point. It makes no sense to me that cigar manufacturers and cigar media attend a trade show and stand next to the companies and products that the cigar industry has been trying to separate themselves from due to pending regulation. So,
fair argument. It's a fair argument.
Fair point. At the end of the day, though, at least for cigar media, if they go, we have to go. I mean, if they go, we go because our job is to cover what they're doing there. Now, if they make the decision to be involved from the beginning, I mean, that's really, to me, that's really where the argument is. But if as the defense for the cigar media, if they go, we go, because we go where they go, and that's just how it goes. That's our job.
Our job is to cover the story. Now, I don't think cigar media did a good job of covering premium cigars versus the other stuff, and that I think is still a story. So I'm not saying we should cover vapes and CBD products, but I didn't get a good feel for what our space looked like versus that this year. But our job is to cover that, and guess what? Our job isn't always to cover the best interests of the industry. I know that sounds like tough, right, to hear, but I mean there are people who do that, right? But our job isn't necessarily to do that. So if the cigar industry is showing up there, it's kind of our job to cover it. I agree with you. I think we are very hypocritical in a lot of cases. Like we show up at this show and then we go and say other things. I agree 100% with you, Peter, on that.
And Peter has agreed. Yes, I agree with you. The media has to go, manufacturers go. Yeah, I mean, and again, that's the only reason why we go. I would say I understand your point, and I agree.
I do too.
And there's manufacturers that have been supporting and spending a lot of money at TPE versus the PCA, which is a whole nother thing to get into. that I'm not going to get into tonight
Yeah.
just because we have things on the docket. But the reality
Absolutely.
is that's really been a big problem with that situation. But if they stopped going, we wouldn't go either. But
Yeah.
I talked to several people from those big manufacturers at TPE, and it was, hey, and Justin Andrews was on the Smoking Tobacco show on Wednesday night, and we talked about, how, hey, we don't make these decisions, and or he didn't make the decisions come up above, but yeah, and it's up above,
He used the word. Yep.
and
Above his pay grade.
yeah, and
Above
Coop,
his pay grade.
but you could back me up on the overall argument. I mean, when it comes to the big four, I mean, it's not just because, like, oh, we don't want to go. There's some political reasons. There's some business reasons. At the end of the day, they all banded together and they quit. And they kicked the rocks down the road like, fuck this, we're done. But
Yeah.
the flaw with that situation is as soon as one of them comes back, then the following year, they're all going to be back.
Yeah. Yep. I think we're getting closer to that, although it won't be this year. I think next year will be the year we see one of them come back.
I think
it won't be this year.
And I think I know who it's going to be.
Yeah.
Altadas.
I mean,
I'm just going to say it. I think it's going to be Altadas.
I'm going Drew Estate.
You're going Drew Estate?
Yeah.
I think it's Altadas.
It will be one of those two. It won't be the other two.
It's not going to be.
Yeah.
It's not going to be General, and it's not going to be Davidoff.
Yeah, that I can tell you that much.
Davidoff's going to be the last one back. I'll tell you that.
I think Davidoff is the one that least needs to be there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, some people have made the argument to me from those four companies, well, we don't need to be there. We do enough business without going. Yes. However, deep down, I think those companies know, while they can do the business without going to the show, there is a level of importance of being there. And it's not just to support PCA, which that's a big part of it, but you should be there in good faith, because when your customers and your retailers come through, it's nice when you're there to shake their hand and make them feel special, that, you get to reconnect with them and see them, and they get some FaceTime with you, and they get to, raise their concerns and questions, because, yes, they can call their sales rep and be like, I need to order this and this and this, and they can run specials before the trade show begins in May, like they all do every year since they've left, and even before. But, I think that there's still there's still more to being at the show than just making the sales. Coop, I don't know where you stand on that, but that's
I
kind
agree.
of what I've
I
taken away
agree.
from that.
I agree, but the excuse I was given why there were no photos is we were busy doing sales and we had no one to take photos. I mean, it was like it takes 30 seconds to take a photo and put it on social media. I mean, it's take a picture of your booth, take a picture of your products. I mean, my goodness, it was look, TPA is still a big stage for a lot of these companies, and they laid a nothing burger of promoting themselves at this event.
Mm-hmm.
A nothing burger. They did a terrible job at promoting themselves this year.
Well,
And
first of all,
I can tell you, I can name company after company that did a bad job at this.
well, first of all, any manufacturer, a
Yeah.
big name manufacturer, who's based out of the Dominican Republic, their star power was at ProCigar, and that's what they were promoting. They weren't promoting
Yeah.
their booth at TPE. Now, in terms
Well,
of everyone else, that's a different story.
Okay, Altadis had a big presence there. Okay,
They did.
they had I heard about this booth from Rafael Nadal, the barber just
It was cool.
Where
I
was-
liked it. I was there.
I didn't see this. I didn't see it from Cigar Media, and I didn't see it from the people who were exhibiting at the trade show. There was just no this. It was invisible. Now I've heard some stuff was put up by Instagram influencers, but to be honest with you, you and I've had this argument. The Instagram influencers, once it's out on Instagram, it's not very pertinent, right? In terms of its permanence, it doesn't have a permanence. It kind of disappears out there,
Right.
and it needs to be somewhere where you can go back 3 or 4 years and say, wow, look at that cool Altadis booth. They had this barber pole here. I'm going to do an article on Alec Bradley, right? Like things that Alec Bradley did. And I remember one year Alec Bradley had a shoe shine station at their booth, right? And it was the coolest thing. And I remember that from 2010. That shoe shine station was so cool. And I mean, these are the types of things I'd like to see preserved for years to come. When we look back at these trade shows, say, yeah, Alton has had the barber shop there. That's pretty cool, But
I agree.
nothing. I don't know what it was this year. It was like, what we're selling. Oh, we're here to sell cigars. Okay, fine, sell cigars.
I'll tell you, for us, our media coverage was a little bit reduced at this trade show, for a lot of reasons. Not all of it I'm going to get into on the air, but we covered what we thought was most important at this trade show, with what we did and what we had. There's still more stuff I just haven't finished putting out yet because once I got back from TPE, I had an extremely busy week with work. So I had my hands full, but I'm trying to get caught up on it now. But yeah, I mean, there was a lot of stuff. There was a lot of stuff that we saw that we covered. Most of the stuff we covered was, and here's the thing. I was gonna say, this is the problem. I was gonna save the TPE talk until after what I really wanted to cover tonight, and now here we are. And now here we are. So, but first of all, actually, before we get too far into the show, what are you smoking tonight?
So my good friend Stace, who I reconnected with today, in Charlotte, I hadn't seen him in a while. We had an afternoon kind of smoking herf, and he gifted me the Todos los Dias Más Fuerte Thick Lonsdale, which has just been re-released by Dunbarton Tobacco and Trust as part of their archive series. So this is right out of the box that he and Stace is a big Dunbarton guy, and he secured a box today and cracked it open right in front of me and gave me one of these, and so I'm gonna smoke. And this is a former countdown cigar. It's been on my countdown before, so
Nice.
It's an excellent cigar. So I'm really looking forward to it. And of course I'm gonna be using my Cigar Blondie cutter and lighter to prepare for the cigar experience and fire it up. So
I got the
I'll
chrome
do that
set. Williams got the black set.
Yep.
Double guillotine cutter. The sleek and sexy flat blade flame. Only available at cigarblondie.com.
I'm actually using this lighter a lot now. I just love that fan jet flame. To me, it's just perfect. I really enjoy using it. It's kind of gives you a jet flame and a soft. It's a jet flame that acts like a soft flame, and that's what I love about this.
Yeah, absolutely. It really is. I really like the performance of it. I do. Now, excuse me. I'm very sorry for the yawn. It has been a long week. Now, as much as we love our friends at Cigar Blondie, and they are the official cutter and lighter of both the Smoking Tobacco Show and the Spare Note series, I did, for the sake of the conversation of what we inevitably started talking about earlier than I wanted to, a couple of the new products. I don't have all of them on hand because everything's kind of all over the place right now. I still haven't fully unpacked. But I have a couple of new things. I have Paleo's new lighter that they debuted at the show. Their 3-torch lighter, this giant tank on the bottom, the flip-down lid, as well as the Dism. Now, the Dism lighter is the one you may have seen it in. There's a soft flame and there's a torch version. Now, I don't have the soft flame. I have the torch one here, as you can see. But the thing with these is these were designed to be used upside down. Now, they also make a soft...
pipes.
Right, for pipes.
Yeah.
And there's a soft flame version that will light upside down, and most people know a lot of lighters you can't do that. So these were specially designed for that function, and these were some of the new lighters that we saw at TPE, and I brought some home, courtesy of our friends at Quality Importers.
We're not just there for the cigars. We're there for the accessories as well.
It's funny. I had this conversation with Charlie Minato of halfwheel.com and Patrick LeGreed of Half Wheel, and who were both at TPE, and I had separate conversations with each of them, but Charlie said it first. He's like, to be honest with you, he's like, the biggest attraction for us is the accessories. Vissel had a bunch of new products. Quality Importers had some new stuff.
Yeah, they've done a very good job with their accessory coverage over the years too.
Yeah,
hats off to them. Yeah, they really have.
And I feel like it's something that a lot of people find more interesting because it's like, oh, here's another new cigar with Nicaraguan tobacco in it. That's cool. But you see these like lighters, and you're like, oh, cool. What is that? It's got like 3 burners in it. Oh, that looks cool. Like, oh shit, that lighter goes upside down. Like, oh, I gotta try that.
Yeah.
And you see these things, and I feel like there's more of an appeal to the accessories than there are just a new cigar in a box.
Yeah, I gotta say, look, I watched I watched some of your interviews. I haven't watched them all yet.
Yeah.
The best one you did was the one with Les Man. To me,
that
that was
DuPont.
Yeah, but here's why. You talked about the products. You got into the products. You showed the products, and it was like a lot of these interviews. It's not your fault, right? But I want to see product stuff, right? Because I'm the geek. I want to see the product stuff. That was what I wanted. That's what I like to see. And I didn't. In fairness, I haven't watched Joe's interview yet, or whoever. Who did you interview?
I did with Michael Genie.
Okay, so I haven't watched that one yet. But I'm sure he kind of went through. I've been through a booth with him as well. And I think it's very important with the accessory products. They really talk about their products, right? So,
absolutely, and that's another one. SD DuPont. I mean, obviously they don't give out samples of their products, but we have we have a lot of their products, and some of the products that were new at the show we do own. We actually own a Line 2 Gold Dust that debuted at PCA and recently shipped, which was on display at TPE. I don't have it with me. It's not mine.
How he rolls.
No, it's not, Coop. It's not how I roll. It's how my wife rolls. That's her lighter. That has nothing to do with me. That's my wife's lighter. It is not mine.
and don't let him touch it, Nicole, under any circumstances, right? That's your lighter. That good for you, Nicole.
Yeah.
You deserve it.
And look, she chimed in. She's like, "You mean I own it?" No, she does. That's her lighter. That's her lighter.
You heard it here on the Spare Notes series here, guys. If he makes any claim to that lighter, you point to this episode, Nicole's lighter.
So what's
she's well earned it. Yes.
You know what's funny? It's funny when I get a new toy. She's like, "Well, it's everything's both of ours." And then she gets a lighter. And she's like, "I own that lighter." It's like, oh, it's funny how it changes.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So that's the only one we have that's new, but it is cool. It's limited to 150 pieces. They're all made in France, in Paris, France. The other ones we saw was ST DuPont Loves Paris, which is a beautiful set.
I wish I could afford it.
Yeah. That
I
was
love Paris and that Arc de Triomphe, Champs-Élysées. Now, I got a question. That whole bridge thing that they had to display, is that part of what you get?
Yes.
That is cool.
Les made that very clear.
Okay.
It's not just a display for the trade show. You buy that lighter, you get that whole thing.
I love it. I think that was, and I thought that was what he said in the interview, but I wasn't 100%. That's why I'm asking that. I still wasn't 100% sure when I got the press. That is all. I mean, it's awesome. It is really cool because you could display that thing on a mantle or something. It's really nice.
And Nicole reminded me. Sorry. I didn't have an afternoon coffee. Nicole reminded me. There's also one with a pen too. So I believe with the DuPont Loves Paris.
Yes.
There is the lighter, but there's a pen that it's a matching pen to the set, similar to some of the other ones. Like for example, our friend Kevin Acuff, he owns the DuPont Line 2 Space Odyssey, and he only owns the lighter. But in that lighter set, there's a pen, there's a cutter, I believe. It's a whole set. So the one thing with DuPont, and I talked with them about this. At the trade show was, they're trying to reach their audiences outside of just the tobacco industry, because I think a lot of us know DuPont for cutters and lighters, but DuPont makes, and there's a market for it. They make a lot of high-end quality pens, which especially executives, white collar executives, pens of that caliber are like a huge deal. It's like one of us having a Line 2. One of them would have a DuPont pen that sits on a display on their desk, and they only use it to sign official documents. Shit like that.
Yeah.
They also make a lot of leather goods. They make leather bags and like leather briefcases, and so they make a lot of other products outside of just cigar related or cigarette related, any tobacco related accessories. And I know that's something that they said they're trying to work more on pushing those products as well.
Yeah. I agree. They just do great theme stuff. I love watching what the themes they come up with. And that Paris one really looked nice. I mean, I was like a little out of my price range, but very nice.
I feel like every trade show, they show up with something like that. Like last year's, not PCA 21 was the Space Odyssey.
Space Odyssey. Yeah.
And we, as I said, Kevin has the line 2 lighter.
Right.
I can't remember what we saw at PCA 22. I don't think they had anything like that. I think it was mostly the Gold Dust. They had the Legrands that now they added the Perfect Ping to. But then TPE loves Paris. There it is again. So, and I bet you we'll still see that at PCA later this year. Whether or not they have another set like that, I don't know. I think maybe they might just try to highlight that. But yeah, you're right. I mean, it's just the stuff they come up with. DuPont is just a different thing. I mean,
It's
QI,
another level. Yeah.
Zycar, Paleo, Vissel, all the great stuff, great products, great people, everyday stuff. But DuPont, when it comes to DuPont, whether you think it's overpriced and it's not for you, that's fine. But if you really admire it for what it is, like myself and Coop, like it really is. It's just a different level, and it's more of an art piece. It really is. But I'll tell you, if you have one of their products and you do use it daily, it is reliable. I mean, you get what you pay for, is what else. I mean, it lasts.
I have a mini jet lighter, and I don't leave the house with it. Unfortunately, I'm afraid I'll lose it because I know it's not the most expensive one, but it's still not cheap. So
I have a Maxi Jet right here.
Yep.
One of the most popular lighters from DuPont. Mostly because it's not 4 digits, but yes.
Yeah, exactly.
They make great stuff. So thank you for bringing up DuPont. I mean,
that was good because I really, like I said, I a lot of, and I know it's tough at like some of these shows where there's not a lot of products being released, but I want to get a product dive, and I think with the accessories, I can kind of cover a cigar, right? Without how can I put it? Without seeing I could go through pictures, but I think with the accessory products, it's important to kind of have someone really walk through those. So That's why I thought that was really good, and I'm glad that DuPont was covered this year, and I'm looking forward to watching the Quality Importers one with Michael.
Yeah, we try to cover DuPont at every trade show.
We missed them at PCA last year, and we felt horrible.
Yeah,
that was the first time we missed them. Yeah,
and honestly, it's a shame because they had some cool stuff at the booth. And and I have to give another shout out to Les Mann. Les is, he's been in this industry a long time.
One of the best.
He's one of the best. He's a good friend. He's always taken care of us whenever we've needed help or information or whatever. He has been just so amazing to the media at the trade shows. Always gives us so much time. I can't thank him enough for that because it means a lot, and he's worked with other companies too. He's worked with Colibri. He's worked with DuPont before. And now that they're with Coles of London, he's back with DuPont again. So he's been around. He knows his stuff. He's a great guy. He really is.
Absolutely. He was when he was with Colibri. It's just not been the same since he's left Colibri. I'll be completely transparent on that.
Yeah. I can see that.
So he introduced me to Jimmy Mulito, and Jimmy is now the product design lead over at Quality Importers. So, Jimmy was our liaison for a long time at Quality Importers before Michael and Joe came in there. So, but Jimmy was kind of filling that role for a while. And we interviewed Jimmy last year. Great guy. He gets it because he's really the guy who kind of he's the product manager. So I mean, everything goes through him. As far as innovation goes.
And it's funny. I was spending some time with Joe Groh, formerly of Drew Estate, now of Quality Importers, at TPE outside the show floor. We were just kind of hanging out at the bar one night, and the first thing I said to him was like, "So, what do you guys got? The dream team going on? You got Michael, and and it's just Quality Importers is gonna have a good year."
I am waiting for the Michael Giannini Wizards and Warriors release, or time travel series.
It's coming. It's coming.
It's coming.
There's
going to be this themed. And what I'm saying is, I'm kind of joking a little, but there's going to be some theme he's going to put together, and he's going to build a line of accessories around it, and it's going to be spectacular when it happens. So,
they're going to have a big year. I'm very
excited.
I think PCA you're going to see a splash.
Yeah, you're going to see Michael's creativity, I'm sure that creativity is starting already to be in overdrive. So
Oh yeah. Anyone who didn't really have anything big and flashy at TPE, which there wasn't like a shit ton of that. If they didn't, it's coming at PCA. I can tell you that right now. Anyone who you didn't see us interview, it's probably because they didn't have anything new. We tried to really only cover what was new at the trade show. And again, there wasn't a whole lot of it, but that was kind of our focus, just to make the show easier for us. There was some new stuff. There was some interesting stuff. I mean, it's never as crazy as PCA, but I'll tell you, whoever didn't show you something, they got something for PCA, and this is something that we've talked about, for a little while. Is we continue to see these big projects that a lot of companies and blenders and so on and so forth that have been working on since 2020 when the pandemic happened, because when people weren't out traveling around, couldn't do anything, they were either people who went down to the factory when they were open, or even whatever, they were in there by themselves. They spent time down there when they couldn't travel working on blends, or they were here working on blends, or they were here working on designs. I mean, look at United Cigar. Look at how many things that they've come up with. Look at all the innovations that Nelson Alfonso's done. We saw at the trade show last year. We saw a whole bunch of concepts. Atabey, Alfonso was a line I think that was birthed from, probably not just the pandemic. I mean, that they've probably been working on since before that. But just
I know it's been worked on a while. Yeah.
But still, like I know from conversations with people during that pandemic time. I think he was stuck in Spain. He spent a lot of time working on different things. He did. That's what I was told. He spent all that time working on designs and concepts and stuff. And years go by, and you bring that stuff to market, and we're finally seeing it. Where this is 3 years later. It's 2023. That pandemic started March of 2020. So 3 years later, we're really seeing like the fruition of a lot of stuff that was conceptualized when people were like, they couldn't travel. So what were they doing? They would come up with ideas. Well, what do we work on? And I think that's what you're going to see at PCA this year. We saw it last year. I think you're going to see it again this year.
So one thing I didn't see, right, and it wasn't talked about by much of the cigar media, was, going into this show, this was the rebrand from Tobacco Plus Expo to Total Product Expo. Where was, and my question was, where was all these candy and soda companies and convenience store items? From what I understand, they laid an egg with that, and they didn't get a lot of companies attracted to that. And that was my understanding from talking to several people.
Yeah, to be honest, I mean, look, here's the thing. I stayed on the red carpet, and for those who don't know, the red carpet is the premium cigar area, and the blue carpet is everything else. I stayed on the red carpet as much as I could. Now, there was a point when Nicole took like 20 minutes with another girl that we know from a brand that we know very well, and the two of them kind of took a break and went off and kind of like poked around. But other than that, like, we really didn't venture through it, and I didn't see that stuff. I only saw like Delta 8, CBD, vape, alternative tobacco stuff. Like, I didn't see like food and beverage. Now, unless it was in like the way back because it was new.
No, from what I understand, there wasn't a lot of it. Like it didn't really attract. I don't think what they what they thought it was. To me, that was like, okay, I guess the way I looked at it, that was a big deal that they touted themselves on, and I wanted to see how they lived up to it. And to me, it seemed like it didn't, and no one really talked about it.
And it's interesting because on the show that you and Aaron Loomis did the week before, Aaron had said, like, developing palates is not just about cigars; it's about anything with the palate and taste. So like, he was like, like I want to see those products, and like I'll check those out because I mean it's developing palates,
when I asked
not
him,
developing
he
cigars.
said that was
Yeah, and I don't think they really found much over there.
Well, it was, to me, I think a story is that if TPE was trying to move away from, like, I don't want to say move away, but expand the horizons, this first year wasn't very successful at it. This was very much a tobacco and alternative tobacco type of show, and it makes me wonder: are these companies staying away because it's this type of show, right? That they don't want to be associated with it. So the other hand, we give TPE another year or two to see if they can build that piece up. I don't know the answer to that. I just know that that was a big thing they made a big deal about. And to me, coming out of it, it seemed like, no, it really didn't. The show didn't expand like everyone thought it was going to expand.
The only food I saw on the trade show floor was the Papa John's pizza that Nicole and I ate on the first day.
Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't like
No.
there wasn't anything there.
Yeah. Now, another question I have, and not a lot of people coming out and saying this. Every year they'll say, this was a great show. The show took a step level up, right? Every year. This year, no one really came out and said it. The show wasn't a dud, right?
No.
But the show wasn't the best show. It wasn't. It was. I mean, that's what I'm hearing from traffic and from orders. I mean, I've talked to enough people. Like I heard Saka talk about this. He was on Aaron's show Monday. And Saka kind of said it was not what they were expecting. So they, to me, it wasn't a dud. Like I don't think they laid an egg, but this year, for whatever reason, TPE might have flattened off or maybe went down a bit this year.
Well, Nicole hit it right here, and I think it's because of the pro-cigar conflict. I think that having that at the same time... Well, I think that there is truth that in some ways, there was some kind of conflict between having pro-cigar and TPE at the same time. Because, look, there was a lot of key people missing from manufacturers, and I'm sure that there was a small percentage of people who would have otherwise been at TPE who decided, I'll go to pro-cigar instead.
Yeah, but it's usually like pro-cigar only attracts about 500 or 600 people to begin with, right? It's bigger because there's people who come from like women the companies. But the conflict with pro-cigar really was more problematic for folks like us. That's who had the biggest conflict, right? Because really, your sales and distribution teams can handle TPE, and your production guys handle pro-cigar. There is a little overlap. Now, what I will say, maybe Nicole's on to this. This is maybe what she's come from. Some of the star power was not there. The star power was not there at all. Because I'll tell you, pro-cigar, the 11 members held firm. They were supporting pro-cigar. And I'll tell you something. I'm not gonna name. Several people were very unhappy with Kretek for doing what they did on the pro-cigar end, because they feel like this festival has been the same week every year for 15 years. So
it's a big deal. Pro-cigar is a big deal.
And they were very, very vocal about it to me. And it wasn't just one; it was many.
So here's the thing. Here's the thing with TPE. Arturo Fuente normally doesn't go. They had a small booth there this year next to Manny Arate. Okay.
Carlito went once because he got an award. That's why he went.
Right. Probably wouldn't have gone even if it wasn't pro-cigar. La Flor Dominicana, they don't go to TPE. John Carney has said this publicly. They've never attended. They do not attend TPE.
Lito said the same thing to me too. Yep.
The Newmans had a booth. They've been there in the past. Drew was the only Newman there that I saw.
But they have products that work for TPE. Like they have products that you could gear.
Correct.
Like Quorum and stuff. So it makes sense to them. Yeah. Makes sense to them.
Factory throwouts. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Trader Jack. Yeah.
But they also have enough people. They sent Drew to TPE, and I think the rest were in the Dominican.
Eric was in the Dominican. Yep.
Okay. Casada, I don't think goes to TPE. So
they don't play in that space. Yeah.
They don't play there, and they're a big part of Pro Cigar. So that's that. EP Carrillo. Now, I know that the family was at Pro Cigar. I don't remember them being at TPE last year, and I don't know if they've been there in the past before that. But they had a booth at TPE this year, which was interesting. But obviously, all of them were down at Ernie and Lisette. They were down and
no,
Pro
Lisette
Cigar.
wasn't there.
She wasn't?
Ernie who was down. I didn't see Lisette.
Ernie
was down there, and I was on Ernie's flight going back. So, but Lisette may have just stayed back to man operations in Miami.
Sure,
it makes some sense.
Sure, whatever. Yeah. But Ernie was at Pro Cigar.
Ernie was
where he should be.
Yep.
Now we go to the Davidoff booth. Who's not at the Davidoff booth?
Dylan.
Well, he wasn't, but who else who's normally in the Davidoff booth? Oh, that's right. I don't think you know this because you don't go to TPE. So normally at TPE, there's another brand that shares the space with Davidoff. Ferriotego. Herklotz.
Yeah. So
Not there
Herklotz.
because Herklotz has
But
plays a big
Brendan,
role at
but
ProCigar. Brendan was there.
Brendan was there.
Brendan was there,
yeah.
and we saw Brendan, which is always great.
Yeah.
But again, that's another. Michael is not not at TPE, which
Michael's
he normally
very
is
tied with,
because he's very tied with ProCigar.
Yep.
So it's like again, there's another example.
He's the auctioneer.
Yeah, that's a big deal for him. So of course he's got to go to ProCigar. He's not going to go to TPE. You know, who else? Who else does? I think PDR. I was gonna say PDR.
But he sent the sales team there. He sent the sales team there.
Irv was there. Irv was there.
Yeah, Irv was there. And Irv was at ProCigar last year.
But again, Abe's not there because he's doing ProCigar. So it's like there's another, So to your point, like like all the star power was at ProCigar where it should be.
Yeah.
I mean, people pay that money to go to the ProCigar Festival. They want to see Abe Flores. They want to see Carlino Fuente. They want to see Ernie Carrillo. They don't go there to see like, oh, this is the president of sales. Like they don't give a fuck about that. They paid $3-4 grand to get down there and go. They want to see the names, and I agree.
Yeah.
JJ, sorry guys, but as a consumer, TPE is a nothing burger. Looking forward very much to PCA coverage. Yeah, I mean, to his point, I mean, PCA is definitely a beefier show, no pun intended. But I mean, there's still some stuff at TPE, but PCA is definitely the bigger, of course.
Yeah, I mean, if anyone, like I said, I think I didn't get the information out of this trade show that I wanted. And like I said, it even goes down to I can point fingers at the media, I can point fingers at companies, I can even point fingers at retailers, right? But I just there was so much that like I felt wasn't like there was a lot missing. Like a lot of like I know what Smoking Tobacco's coverage is, but most of the coverage this year was personality driven. It wasn't product driven. I mean, do you think that's fair?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm not saying you didn't do it. I'm just saying I'm looking at a holistic type of view. And I don't know. I'm kind of worried about cigar media because this is not just a I don't know
what is going on over there. You got sounds and. Did your chair just break?
A piece came off. We'll see if my chair collapses.
Cool. Dude, you gotta lay off those Whataburgers, dude.
Come
on, the chair's starting to break.
yeah. But it was this is not just a TPE problem. It's a problem I'm seeing at the PCA trade show too. Like and look, I'll be honest. I think Half Wheel's coverage was lacking at TPE this year. It was all wrapper binder filler this year with them. And normally they do a good job of kind of giving me the vibe of the trade show. They didn't give me that this year. It was like wrapper binder filler. Here's some a couple of displays. So. And I wonder if they're looking at this saying it's a lot of work to cover this show and PCA, So,
I mean, it is. It's a work to cover any trade show because there's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot going on, And to your point, it's not like ProCigar. ProCigar is more of a lifestyle event, right? In a sense, where you're going to factory tours and you're seeing some stuff like that. You're not going to. It's not a place you go where you're covering 60 brands and what they have going on. I mean, you're going to look at 11 factories, and you're probably only going to half of them.
Yeah, not even that. You're going to like
3.
You pick 2 out of you pick 2. You actually pick 2, and that's all you get. But it's a little different. Like at ProCigar, you pick 5, but they're 5 half-day ones. You pick 2 all-day ones. At ProCigar. But like I said, there were things I didn't do a good job at, and I know next year I want to capture the vibe of some of these things that go on inside the fact. I tried to do a little bit of it, but I need to turn my attention to that. That Lido Food Fest, right? I actually went on Facebook Live with that, and I got a lot of reaction to that. And that was just something unique that Lido did at the factory. That is different.
With all the hanging tomahawks?
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
We didn't
talk
about
Go ahead. Let's go. Let's get it over. Tell us about how magical it was.
What?
Tell us about how
It was.
magical it was.
It was magical. But if I didn't put that video out there, I don't think people would have been able to understand it.
Right.
So I kind of, when I started looking at that, I said, these are things now. This will be my fourth Pro Cigar next year, and there's things I can go in and fix these things. Where I think next year it's gonna be a little more. I'm gonna use the video piece, but not necessarily to interview people, but to kind of show a little bit of the vibe of, because you have to see it to understand it. And photos are nice. They don't give the same thing when I put the video up of Herklotz doing the auction. Like if you have not seen Michael Herklotz do an auction before, you're missing out on something. So
Does he do the speed
these are
talk?
little thing. He does, but it's not like overly fast forwarded. It's not overly fast. It's at a decent level, but he keeps it moving. But he's a master at knowing when to raise the bids and when not to. He is he's got and the other thing that Michael does, he gives a shit about every product that's up there. He wants to make sure it's the best product, and he believes in those I know they include him on, looking at these products. So he is not just, he's believing in the products that are on there, and he's auctioning them off, and he is phenomenal to watch.
Yeah, I mean, Michael's just got that personality, and I think that's what makes him so special. And it's worked for him in a sales role, promotion role, marketing role. I mean, he does it all, and it works. It's a very universal personality that he has.
Yeah, I'm gonna have a big recap article coming out, and Michael is one of the big stories of that article. And I'm gonna tell you the other two that are a big story, and I know I spent time on the tour with them. The Gomez sons, these kids, and they're kids to me, okay, because I'm older. These kids are absolutely the future of La Flor Dominicana.
Oh yeah.
This company, Lito's company, is in great hands with those two. I mean, I have all the confidence. He's done a great job at building Tony up to that level.
Oh yeah.
And now I'm seeing the same thing with Lito. Big, and look, I saw the way they were walking around the gala events and the respect that the industry paid to them. And that's what really was the part that I saw, seeing people go up to Lito Jr., talking about his cigar. Like, these are big name people going up to him. So it was, you see those types of things, and it's a very, like I said, it's a very unique event. Yeah. So I got to do a better job of capturing the vibe of this next year.
I've spent some time one-on-one with Junior and Tony. I agree, and
you've spent more time with them probably than I have. So yeah.
They're amazing guys. Lito and Inez should be very proud of those kids.
I said to Lito in the car. I said to him in the car, "You did a wonderful job with your boys." I did, and I said, I gave Inez credit too, of course. They really have. They're so.
And I'll tell you,
good people. Yeah.
And I'll tell you, if something, God forbid, but if God forbid something happened to Lito tomorrow, that company would not skip a beat, so to speak. I mean, I'm not saying it wouldn't be like bad. I mean, it would be, but
No.
but I think like at this point, like Tony could pick it up and run. You know what I mean? I think he's spent enough time with Lito, and he's been in the factory, and he could pick, it would be an adjustment for sure. I mean, I'm not saying it's going to be like nothing, but he would be able to pick that company up and run, and then he would continue to groom his younger brother, who could be kind of in the role that he had with Senior. So yeah, and then again, this, I know that there's a little bit of a personal bias here, and I don't shy away from it, but I mean, in all honesty, and I've said this to John, like, dude, you're really good at your job. I've spent time with Carney, obviously personally a lot. And I've seen the way he does his job. I've seen the way he does his events. I've seen the way he is on the phone and he handles his business and this and that. And, so you have them, and you got Carney in vice president role, who handles, the sales and the operations and all the shit outside of the factory.
Long time he's been in that role too.
Long time, and he's one of the youngest, if not the youngest, executive vice
president.
He may
be in that. I think 9 years he's been in that role. I don't think it's a short time.
No, he has spent a lot of time, and I know that the Gomez family considers him like one of their own. He is not like an employee to them. He is like another son to Lito and Inez. So that company is solid. And anyone who gives them shit because of their back orders that they have, they're not the only ones. They're not as big as some of these other factories. But they do the best they can, and every fucking cigar they make, they sell it. They don't have anything sitting on the shelf. I've been to the office several times, and I remember the first time I went, I go, so where are all the cigars? And John goes, there are none. We sold them. We don't have inventory that sits around.
Yeah.
We sell everything we make. And,
Yeah.
You got to give it to LaFleur. And from what I hear from you mostly, their Pro Cigar presence, it's one of the best ones there.
Lito's so hands-on. He, is out on the buses helping people get loaded on. I mean, he is there from start to finish. He's involved with every detail. According to Carney, and that's what Lito calls him. He calls him Carney, right?
Yeah.
According to Carney, hey Carney, because right. But according to Carney, Lito spends 2 or 3 months prepping for this, and they do 2 days because of they want to capture as many people as possible there. And the reason why I went on day 2 for the feast is because it was Ash Wednesday. I didn't want to go on Ash Wednesday, so I waited till Thursday.
I forgot it was Ash Wednesday. Then I saw Mickey Peg walking around the first day with the ash. I'm like, what the fuck is on his phone?
Well, I'll tell you
Ash
what.
Wednesday.
They don't make it easy to go meatless at Pro Cigar. I'm going to be really honest with you. Yes, I had meat on Ash Wednesday and Friday, but it was because either that I was going to starve. So I was like.
Well, you also went to Saga, so there's that too.
Oh, that's a whole. Did you see the live video?
I saw it. I saw everything. I didn't miss nothing.
Everyone's calling you out on that one.
Yeah, I was walking around TV. I'm not even going to be shy. I said to everybody, I go, yeah, he could be like fucking Cigar Coop. He's down in the Dominican eating at Saga and having tomahawks with Lito Gomez. Like, he's living his best life.
It was pure. The Saga dinner, and Fred Rui was there. Christian Hudson, who's a retailer out of Missouri, was there. We had this doctor with us.
Carney was there, right?
Carney was there. And, Carney and Fred, we just put everything in their hand. Fred knows Saga. Carney knows food. Just order. And they come out with 10 pounds of tomahawk steaks, right? And we didn't get enough. These were devoured. I mean, everything. The sides were devoured.
Can I ask? Did Carney eat 2 of those?
He must have. He had a
dude. I know he can put food away.
Oh man, that guy!
I can tell you from experience.
We have these potatoes, and he's taking the potatoes and putting them on the salt boxes and smashing them, and he's pounding down these potatoes like they're pills, like the little tiny round potatoes.
Dude,
it's
I've eaten many a meal with John Carney, and let me tell you something. He knows how to order, he knows how to eat, and he knows how to put it away. And I don't say that giving him shit. I'm like, I wish I could dine like John every day. I mean, he eats like a king. He really does. That boy does not starve. He does not. He knows what to eat. He posted a thing for the golden party. He made saffron mashed potatoes. I'm like, dude. And he's just like, yeah, it's just something I made. It's like, dude, that's saffron mashed potatoes. It's like that's a $20 mashed potato.
Could you imagine being Can you imagine being Mrs. Carney? I don't know his wife. I've never met her. She seems very nice.
She's very sweet.
What a catch! I mean, the guy cooks like unbelievable. Loves to do. I mean,
here's the thing, Mrs. Carney, Princess, as he calls her, she's vegan, so she doesn't eat any of the meat either. But
he loves vegan food, John. Yeah.
But I'll give him credit. He always thinks of her, and he always makes something that she can eat. And when he does, it's not even. I'm just gonna make you steamed broccoli. No.
No.
He still makes her something sophisticated that she can eat. That's part of her diet. It's amazing.
Yeah.
And he's made some vegan stuff and showed me, and I'm like, holy shit!
Oh, I bet it's amazing. It's not like steamed broccoli or a can of peas or something like that. Yeah, it's
I'll tell you. I've been very fortunate to eat a lot with John, as I said, both at a restaurant and then personally stuff that he's made. I don't like Brussels sprouts. Okay, I've tried them I've tried to make them. I've eaten them at restaurants. I've eaten them. They always suck. I could eat his Brussels sprouts all night, and every time I see him, I'm like, "Are you making the Brussels sprouts?" And he'll be like, "Yeah." And I'm like, I'm just excited because it's the only Brussels sprouts I like, and they're so good. I eat them anywhere else, and I'm like, I fucking hate them. They're not good. I won't eat Brussels sprouts if he doesn't make them. It's just like one of those things. You know, we talk about food. I can't eat anyone else's Brussels sprouts. I've tried. They never live up to the hype. And I have John's, and I'm like, dude, I could just eat these all day.
Yeah.
It is. It's amazing. And we get off on this food tangent with Carney, but it is. I mean, he you know, you gotta remember, Carney's family has roots in the restaurant business.
Yeah.
So I mean, this is nothing new. I mean, Carney's grown up in food. I mean, that's where he gets it from.
And you have to understand what they're doing at ProCigar with these factory visits. They're making them more experiential. So it's not just, you go to these factories, and it's great to see the rollers and the turning of the polones, and we all love to see it. But they recognize you can't get people back every year and do the same thing. So everyone tries to make it a little more experiential. And Lido brings in this feast, but, it's combined with Latin music, and it's really something. It's a really like special thing. You go to Casada did a blending seminar in the factory, which was really innovative, and I went on that one. So it's these little things that are very different, that I think make this ProCigar and Puro Sabor. It's just not going on a factory tour, and there's nothing wrong with just going on a factory tour, but there's more to it with this, which is a beautiful thing to see. I want to mention one thing more about ProCigar, and this is not a, my trip didn't end great, because I think everyone heard the news about Jose Blanco.
Yeah.
So I do know that Jose. By the way, Jose's doing great. So I just want everyone to know. I talked to Jose today. He seems like he's back to himself. He's listening to the doctors and everything. He's not smoking. He's watching what he's eating, and so he's being careful, but he gave us a real scare down there, Matt. I think you saw some of the messages I gave you. I was I was shaken up when it happened. I gotta be honest with you.
You texted me, and I was like, oh shit, and I didn't text him right away because he was doing his thing, but I have since talked to him, and he is doing good, and he responded to every message that he got to or tried to. He was really. I didn't speak to him all week. I saw him on Saturday. Right before I went home, I did go to see him, and he was getting out of hospital, and he's going to be checking back into the hotel, and his son and daughter were going to be keeping an eye on him because I think Emma had to take Jasper back to school. So I did, and he looked a lot better than when I had seen him earlier in the week. So, but I felt like I left him alone all week. I sent him a couple of messages, and he always responded. But I did get to speak to him today. He was back to his old self. But he's. I'm telling you, he was lucky. He was very lucky that Emma was there when that happened. Absolutely.
So, and he'll tell you he's very lucky. I think he's doing Meet the Professor tomorrow, even. So.
Yeah, I think. He is.
I don't know. I don't know if that's a good idea, but you know what? Jose needs to be Jose too, and he loves this industry. I know it probably pained him to miss 2 days of ProCigar, but I mean, I was really, I'm so glad he's okay. So, he's our friend, but. Like I said, he's doing very well. People were asking, and I think he's been posting a little more. So, but it kind of had a little bit of an unfortunately tough end for me, that trip.
Yeah, I was worried about him, and it was hard because when I got the news, I was actually at a sit down. I was at a sit down with people in the industry, important people who know him, and I didn't want to say anything. So like I'm sitting there with like these people, and I got the message, and I was like, oh shit, and it overcame me, and everyone was like, what's going on? I'm like, I got some troubling news, but I can't talk about it. And everyone's like kind of like, okay, and I'm like, I'm sorry, I just got caught off guard, but like I can't say anything.
Well, I figured you'd want to know, and I asked you to be discreet about it.
Yeah,
they were being discreet about it.
Yeah,
yeah.
So I just remember being like, oh, this just kind of fucked my night because I'm like, oh my god, and it took over me because I'm like, damn, like I love Jose so much, and I'm so happy that he's okay.
Yeah, and we talk a lot about the Fuentes, right? We know the Fuentes. Let me tell you, Emma told me the Fuentes were wonderful to her. This goes from Carlito to Ciro to Jeremiah, who was not there, and Jeremiah is providing like emotional support for her. She could not thank them enough. To me, I mean, so that's again that's how they roll, and they were very protective of keeping Jose's privacy too, and I understand that as well. So
Yeah, I was just so like shocked by it too, and then I'm just like, and you kind of have to like, put it away because like I can't focus on this all night because it's gonna eat at me, and then it'll come out, and I just don't want that. But it was just like, wow.
there are a few people I know he would want to know, and I contacted those people within the first 24 hours. And I just kind of said, hey, just so you know, this is going. And then Jose did go public with it, right? So once Jose went public with it, it was a little different. He, because he put something out there, and he didn't have a heart attack. There was some confusion if he had a heart attack, but he had, a pacemaker is a serious thing he had done. So, and there's risks. Anytime you have a pacemaker put in of infection and stuff like that, they have to keep an eye on him. Make sure it functions right. So, he's gonna be in the DR for a few weeks, and I think he should stay there for a few weeks too. He's got his older son and older daughter there, and they're taking great care of him. So, yeah,
That's great.
yeah.
That's great. I'm glad Jose's doing good. The rest of your trip was great. The rest of our TPE trip was great. All things considered, there was.
We weren't all together. That's the unfortunate thing. We but that will change, I'm sure, next year. So.
Yeah, hopefully it does.
Yeah.
The TPE is going back to, I think it's January 29th to February 1st. So
yeah, that's what I saw as
way
well.
away from ProCigar next year.
This was look, from what I understand, I'm not trying to beat TPE up. This was a one-time move. They could not get the convention center the days they normally get it.
True.
Now, did they? Could they have gotten another? I don't know. And in fairness, maybe they couldn't get other dates. Who knows if they tried to contact ProCigar. I don't know what the deal was with it, but like I said, in the end, I don't think I think the conflict, the biggest people who had the conflict with to be honest, was the media. I think the media was the number one conflict that was there. So Charlie had made the decision to cover TPE. I made the decision to cover ProCigar. And I wouldn't change it. I mean, I'm telling you, if they go back to back again, I'll go. Now, if it's PCA, it's a different story. But that would never happen. I can tell you that. That would never happen with PCA. There's too many people high up in PCA who would not let that happen. So.
Oh yeah, they would squash that in a second.
Yeah.
But anyway, so my plan was to start the show with end of the year.
With a year in review, we ended up doing the second half first, but that's okay.
Which due to scheduling and promises to other people, we said we weren't going to cover until everyone was out. That took us to first week of February, but then we just weren't ready to do that quite yet. So it is March.
Yeah.
And I know this is seems late in the game, but just due to scheduling and stuff like that, and we're just getting to it now, but we got to do it now so we can move on. So
yeah, so Matt, I want to address that for folks in the audience. So what was happening every year? We would do this recap show, and what happened is by the time we got to the recap show, we'd rehash this like 4 or 5 times with me, right? Because I'm doing all these other shows,
right.
So we put a lot into the show, and I think the decision was made by the whole team that we were gonna we have to do our thing on this show first. Now, because there's other media outlets involved, like Aaron and these guys, they didn't finish up until after the halfway consensus. So it was by design, but at the same time we have to sometimes still protect our brands and stuff. So it wasn't like we were trying to avoid it. So I'm grateful to everyone. I know Abe. We put it off with Abe as well. So I appreciate it, and I'm glad we're going to talk about it tonight. I'm excited about it.
Yeah, I wish Mitchell was here with us for it too, but I know that he's not feeling very well.
He's let him get better. I mean, I'm sure he's gonna have a lot to talk about with Alec Bradley, and we'll save the Alec Bradley talk for the next one.
Yeah,
and
Alec
that's a whole
Bradley.
show.
I know.
Yeah.
It's like I'm like, how do we even know how to talk about it? I mean, there's so much on the docket. I mean, there's just so much has happened in the last couple of weeks. It is just it's insane. $72.5 million.
Yeah.
No farm. No factory.
But I actually think we'll talk about it. But I actually understand why that happened. Why it went. Why
I think I do too. I think I do too now. But at first glance, it was like, holy shit.
It still was a lot of money. It still was a lot of money. So there's no doubt about it. I mean, when the question I got from everyone at ProCigar, hey Coop, what do you think my company's worth? I said I can't even determine what Alec Bradley's worth. You're gonna ask. I'm not a guy who could. I said there's companies that could do that a lot better than I can. So
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that was. But that's what happened there. I was like, everyone's asking me, okay, you think I could get $100 million? I'm like, go for it. I'm like,
Go for it. So yeah, we'll save that. And we'll do a whole show just on the Alec Bradley situation,
yeah,
just because that
yeah,
there's a lot to unpack there, and
a lot.
there's a lot of like olive branch stuff to that too, which we'll get into.
Yeah, I'm gonna give Justin some crap for he didn't offer anything that night to you. He gave you a nothing burger. Come on, Justin. You got to give Matt something.
Wow, calling out Justin Andrews.
Look, and I know this. Look, I know there's certain things he couldn't talk about. I get that, but there's certain things he couldn't talk about.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Mitchell's going to chime in the comments on the end of the year stuff. He is with us, and he's very
Okay,
excited.
good.
He's very excited for a buyout show.
Mitchell needs to Mitchell, take care of your health. We'll be here for you. We're thinking of you. So yeah.
Also, he did ask a question that I don't want to spend too much time on, but I want to bring this up. He did ask you which was better, Puro Sabor or ProCigar?
ProCigar.
Okay.
But ProCigar is a more mature festival. It's been around longer. What I will say is two things. Puro Sabor, that was my first one, but from talking to people who've been to many of them, they said it was the best one. It was very good. It's got a very intimate feel. It's smaller. ProCigar, got to give them credit. They made a lot of improvements this year. You heard me go off on the seating situation at the galas. They fixed that this year. I mean, there was feedback that was given about hotels and stuff, and they really, really worked to accommodate us. So that's why they maintain that's why they maintain the excellence they've had at ProCigar. They really listen to the feedback. Yeah, I can't thank them enough. Yeah.
Yeah, and it seems to me like you got more out of ProCigar than Puro Sabor. I kind of already.
I got to. It's a different scenario, but I don't think I'm gonna go to ProCigar next year, but probably a Coop team member will go.
Okay.
Just because it's gonna be too much to do, and to be honest with you, I'm very tied to the ProCigar people. So at least I like to think I am. So I know those folks. I know the folks who sit on that for a long time. I know most of those players for multiple years. So. They know me, so it's that's why I go to that one.
Absolutely. All right, so here we are, finally, end of the year stuff.
Yeah.
I've been itching to get into this conversation.
Let's get into it, man. I'm fired up.
So I know that first of all, there's my list and there's your list. Now I already know how you feel about my list. And I think we've even talked about it a little publicly.
No, I mean I don't think I think it's good that we have two different angles to come at the list here.
You're
talking about the Cigar to your list. You're talking about Cigar to your list.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's good. If we had the same list, we're doing something wrong.
No. That's not what I mean. I mean like we already know. Like I know how you feel about my list, and you know how I feel about your list.
Yeah.
But outside of the two of us, everybody else. First of all, you have Half Wheels 25, and then you have Half Wheels Consensus. You have the magazines, and then you have the rest of our other online media peers. And then there's a few other lists, I will say.
Yeah.
That I know you've spoken about.
Yeah.
So I think we'll kind of circle back. We'll recap and end with our lists at the end. But let's start with everyone else first. That's kind of where I was going.
Okay. Okay.
So let's just get the big ones out of the way. Cigar Aficionado.
Yeah.
Cuba gets number one again.
I had no problem with it. That's what they do.
Yeah. Expected.
It's a different. The first thing you got to understand is this is the argument. Well, it's not new cigars. Well, it's a different type of list, and I think people try to make that list out to be something it's not.
Right.
So, I mean, look, I'll be honest with you. Cubans are not ineligible on the Coop list. It's just hard to get on there because we can't get the releases. So I have no problem with it. I have no problem with it. If they're saying, I didn't smoke that cigar, so this year I smoked it in the past. It's a very good cigar.
Let me ask you a question, kind of circling back to the festivals really quick while we're on this topic for just a microsecond.
Yep.
Would you add Festival del Habano to your list in the future?
Yes. Yes. Look. The problem is, I can't do all. At least because I still have a day job, I can't do it. Um, Festival de Habano was. I could go, right? The the issue was, I was advised, based on the situation in Cuba, when the tickets went on sale, this may not be the best place to go this year.
Okay.
So I decided to sit it out. Um, and yeah, that was my call on that one. So it has a higher cost, but I absolutely would go. Look, I think, by the way, I think Half Wheel did a tremendous job with their festival coverage at Festival de
Mm,
Milano. That Brooks knocked it out of the park this year. I mean, he deserves a lot of credit.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah,
Brooks is.
well, if Brooks is home run by Brooks this year, he did a great job. Yeah,
I agree. Quick
yeah,
shout out to them. They
yeah,
once again
absolutely,
did a
absolutely.
fantastic
It was
job.
yep, yep,
But okay. So anyway, I just wanted to bring that up really quick since we were our other conversation.
yep.
So yeah, again, we expected. You expect Matt Ty's with a shout out Matt Ty. How about that cigar?
How about that cigar?
So kind of expected. Rocky Patel 60 gets number 2. Now that was a cigar that ranked high on my list and several other lists last year. So I wasn't really shocked to see it up there. And I think this is the second time that Rocky's gotten number 2.
Yep, the Sun-Grown Maduro got it a few years ago.
Uh,
I wasn't as big a fan of this cigar as a lot of people were because I had inconsistencies with it. But look, this cigar made a lot of lists last year. It made your list. It was very high on your list last
It
year.
was number 3.
So yeah, so I can't argue. I can't really argue that one either.
And the 60 has been one of my favorite Rocky Patel cigars to date.
Yeah.
It really has.
Yeah.
Rocky's he's had a couple of really interesting cigars in the last 5 years that I've really enjoyed. Newer stuff. But that's 60, man. I mean, when I first had that, I was just like, damn. I mean,
Yeah.
this is probably my favorite Rocky release right now to date.
Yeah.
And it still is. The DBS was okay. The white label was okay. I don't mean like they were like they were good. I liked them, but I kind of like keep going back to comparing them to the 60, and the 60 I felt was just so good that it was just kind of like, oh, it's good, but it's not as good as the 60.
Bear and I thought the Disciple was better than the 60, and it was a similar blend. Bear and I were higher on the Disciple. That was just us, yeah.
I'll be honest. The Disciple, I think, is the only one I haven't had yet.
You need to definitely get your hands on this. It's a cigar I think you'll enjoy.
Okay.
If you like the 60, I think you'll enjoy it, but I've had more consistency with the Disciple.
Mm-hmm.
And so has Bear, yeah.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
Cigar Journal. We're so late with this now. I forget who was Cigar Journal's number 1.
Cigar Journal's number 1. I'm gonna pull it up here because it was a surprise. For sure. It was boy, Mitchell will probably beat us to it.
I know Mitchell.
It was. It's just come on.
3, 2. Mitchell, come on,
dude. It was not showing up. Look at that. Oh, here it is.
He said Olmec question mark or Padron?
Padron. No, it wasn't Padron.
No, Padron was Cigar Aficionado last year.
I don't think was Cigar Snob this year. It was the.
I don't think Olmec got a number 1.
No, the number 1 cigar was the Padron. It wasn't Padron. It was the 95 Natural. I didn't agree with that one at all. That was a Family
the
Dope
95 Natural.
Yeah, I didn't agree with that one at all.
Me either.
Journal's list completely perplexed me. I got to be honest with you. They had the Davidoff Winston Churchill LE at number 2.
I didn't like that cigar.
Now they had, but they had the 60 at 3. So
again,
and then
the 60s in the top 3.
And then they had a surprise at 4, and it's not a bad cigar. The Immenso 70 Sun-Grown. The Immenso made my list, but it was like a 24.
Okay.
So and it was the Maduro. So there was some weird picks on their list though. Like they just had some weird cigars on this list that surprised me. I know the Garofalo made it. I didn't expect.
I was just gonna say the Garofalo made it, which is made by Perdomo, which I was happy for Dave.
Yeah, the principal made it. That's a cigar made. It's a U.S. company, but they have a big presence in Europe.
Okay.
That made the list. And here was the most interesting one: the American Double Robusto at 21, which was also number 20. That same cigar was number 21 on Coop, but the Cigar Journal one got a little more press, I guess. Everyone forgets the Coop rating was exactly the same on that one, but that's we're not Prince, so.
So
Great
okay.
Wall of China made it too. That was the other one that people were screaming about. I heard in Europe.
Yeah. So I mean, okay, an interesting list with a questionable number one. Um,
I didn't think that was Padron's best work. I got to be honest with you. Look, I've had the Family Reserve series is a great series. That 95 was the weak link of the series. I'm sorry, it was the weak link. It
I
was
agree. I don't think it was their best.
It wasn't. It wasn't a bad cigar, but it wasn't top 25 even in my book. So
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
yeah,
I'm with you on that one. So those two lists, I remember when they came out, it was like, it wasn't exciting. It was just kind of like it's what I expected to see.
I thought Aficionado did a better list than Journal this year. Usually it's the other way around, but I thought Aficionado beat them this year. If I had to look at the quality of the list, now, but Journal uses a different philosophy.
Did you notice the trend with the CA list though?
Churchill.
Really like Churchill's over there at CA.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah. I like what Cigar Journal does. They use a 2-year window, kind of like what I do. So I kind of like. They call it the best new cigars of the year, and they use a 2-year window. I like what they did. It's just this year the list didn't really come out the way I would want it to come, but they do good work. Cigar Journal. This is not to pick on them, but this was a head scratcher. This list this year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what was Cigar Snob?
Cigar Snob was I believe it was also a Padron.
Mitchell said Olmec, but I don't think.
No, Mitchell's right. It was the Olmec. He's right.
They did get Olmec did get number one with Cigar Snob.
They did. I forgot about that one. Yeah.
Okay.
I had that one. Yeah. They got the number. I remember they videoed the call and everything with that. From Eric Calvino. I spent a lot of time with the Cigar Journal, the Cigar Snob folks at both festivals, and they're great folks. Olmec, I smoked Olmec with Nick a few weeks. It's a great cigar, but they had the Padron 1926 at number 2. Which it's an older cigar. I don't understand Journal and Cigar Aficionado. I can understand it a little. Cigar Snob, it seems like what they have in the office, they just rate. I mean, it's honestly it's the only logic I can put with their list sometimes.
I could see that.
Yeah, I can see it too. Yeah, I can see it. I'm just saying that's I think how they do it.
Okay, so those are the big 3 print.
And then there's us, which are peons. Yeah, but.
So, let's go down the line. How about that cigar?
Oh, they did a nice job.
Nice job.
Listen, Matt, first of all,
with their number 1, they had the Crux du Connoisseur number 2, I believe. Is that what it was?
The number 4.
Or number 4. Sorry, number 4.
I had the number 2 as my number 1 in 2016. So that is a great line. And look, I knew Matt was. I should have remembered. Matt was smoking the shit out of them when I was up in Minnesota. So
he was smoking them at TPE too.
Listen, look, the Crux du Connoisseur is, if you have not had that cigar, you need to get that cigar. Honestly, you need to get your hands on that cigar, and it's very, very good, that cigar. I think it's, like I said, I think it's one of the best. It was a very good. I thought Matt was going to go with Paladin de Saka number 1, and he had it as number 2, which was my number 2. But I know Matt was really into the Crux du Connoisseur. And by the way, it wasn't the only list that got number 1 on. So it wasn't. I think Boston Jimmy had it number 1 as well.
Well, Boston Jimmy, I think there's 3 separate lists, but yes.
But then he did an overall, and I think the Crux won the overall.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because I remember I did see it somewhere else. I think Jimmy had it.
Yeah. I mean, Crux du Connoisseur is an epic line, guys. It's fantastic, and all 4 sizes smoke different, but they have a kind of a core DNA, is what I'll just say.
Yeah. So we know what Jimmy's was. How about that cigar?
Jimmy's list we could talk about. We could talk about Jimmy's list later. He had a lot of head scratchers, how he did things. Yeah, but yeah.
Well, he did his very differently. He
but
definitely did his very differently.
But I didn't agree. Like, there's some real he had. Let's. You want to do Jimmy's? Because I could talk about. This is what we're talking about.
Let's do it. Yeah, let's just do it, and
Okay,
then we can move on to others.
So I love Jimmy. Right, he's a good friend of mine.
He's great.
But this was the problem I had with his list. He divides it up, and I do like how I like how he goes small, medium, large, right? But the way he kind of classifies these companies is head scratches me, right? But this is the one that really, really head scratched me. You know what his large cigar company of the year was? A cigar company. Sorry, his large size cigar of the year was?
What?
You know, it was the Knuckle Sandwich Maduro.
Okay.
By Espinosa.
Okay. Yeah.
Now,
I remember. Now.
First of all, I don't think they're a large company, right? But this is where it got weird, because he had a medium size list as well.
Like medium sized company.
Yeah. And at number 10 on that list was a cigar called the Fair Warning Box Press Toro Robido, which is a cigar for caravan cigars made by Espinosa Cigars. So how is Espinosa on the medium and the large list is my question. That didn't make sense to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
You got it.
I agree.
I don't understand it. I mean, unless he's counting Caravan, but Caravan's not even a large retailer; they're a very small retailer. So there was a lot. I said that this. I don't really. I like the concept what he's doing. I don't necessarily like what he chooses for small, medium, large company. Yeah, but I like the concept. I like the concept.
What did he have for small company?
The small company of the year was Attic Series by West Tampa, which I did not smoke, so I can't comment on it. But West Tampa
is a small company. That's
that's
on par.
Yeah.
That works.
Yeah. I mean, the critique I could level at Jimmy, that was a December release. You can't give a cigar to year based on a December release. That's the one thing I can hurl at that, saying I just don't think it makes sense. Save it for next year.
Yeah.
See how that cigar's gonna smoke. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
That'll be eligible for our lists this year.
Yeah.
Okay, so we covered Jimmy.
Yeah.
The only other group that I know does multiple lists is Cigar Dojo, and their overall Cigar of the Year list was Liga Privada H99, which is a great cigar. I think it was number 6 or 5 on our list, but I could have saw that one coming. They do a lot with Drew Estate.
That one, they bent the rule with that one.
In what way?
I told Eric.
In what way?
I said it on the show. That cigar was released, so it had a very limited release in 2018.
Mm-hmm.
Last year, that cigar was released in a limited fashion again last year in 2021.
But with a wide release.
They reviewed it in 2021.
Mm.
And they loved it in 2021, but they put it on the 2022 list. And Eric told me they held it back. I'm like, it should have been on the 2021 list, right? It didn't make sense to me with that one. It also felt like they tend to go for non-limiteds. The H99s are still pretty hard to get, right?
Mm-hmm.
On top of that, I didn't think it was a top 10 cigar. I mean, it was just me. I know you liked it, but I didn't think it was top 10.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. It's probably one of my favorite ligas to date, to be honest with you, out of all of them.
Yeah.
Not just like number 9 T52, like all the Unicos, anything that's called Liga Privada. It's probably one of my favorites next to the 10.
Yeah.
And then the number 9 is probably my third, which I used to love, but after having those two, I'm like, okay. But I mean, they do a lot of stuff with Drew Estate. Drew Estate makes cigars for them. So I could, it was interesting.
I'll say this. They tend to be, I just think I know they really like that cigar. And according to what I heard is like almost everyone had it on their list when they submitted the vote. So, and I do think they're fair. I mean, I've been on some shows and they've bashed Drew Estate on stuff. So I'm going to give them the benefit. I just didn't agree with the pick.
Okay.
They tend to always pick a couple of cigars that pique my interest. Like they had number 5, the HVC Selection number 1. Good cigar.
Good cigar. Good cigar.
Yeah, and they had the Casa Magna Connecticut at 8. I thought it was good. very good. And they had the Alec Bradley Double Broadleaf at 9, which I thought was good.
It's a good cigar. Would you say
Then
the
they had
Casa Magna?
The Casa Magna Kinetic
From
is
Casada?
fantastic. Yeah, fantastic. I smoked a lot of them last week. Then they had Cerberus at 7. I'm sorry, that was not one of the bigger Agonarsa releases.
No.
So,
That was a
I'm
miss.
sorry. That was.
I love
that was
Terrence
a
to
total-
death, but Cerberus,
not
Cerberus
a-
is really
not
the
a-
only cigar that they've put out that I've really not enjoyed. Rare Leaf at first, as I've talked about, but Rare Leaf came back to me. But Cerberus,
It's a different. They're using that Corolla 2012. I'm gonna give them. It's a little more of an experimental release, so I want to see them work with that leaf again. It just I don't think that blend it produced. Yeah.
yeah. So I mean, there's a couple of picks on there that are a little questionable as well. But and again, everyone's list is going to be like that, and our lists are going to have stuff that's questionable to other people. So I mean, it's all for interpretation.
They gave Luxury Cigar of the Year to Alfonso.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Good. Really, I mean, that was a fantastic pick. It was also
agree.
Half Wheel's number 1.
And it was my number 1.
Yeah, it was not mine, but it wasn't eligible till this year. So, and it's gonna look. I could tell you out of the gate that Alfonso is gonna be contending on my list, and the My Father 100 Años is gonna be contending on my list.
Oh yeah, that I already knew.
Yeah, those two are. I haven't even put the reviews out, but I'm telling people they're front runners already.
And in addition to that, you and I both gave my father a Factory of the Year award this year.
A well-deserved Factory of the Year. They had what a year they had.
Jesus Christ!
They shared yours. They didn't share mine. So, that smoking tobacco is on the way up and Coop's on the way down. But I got no sharing from them on that one. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, sorry, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know, but yeah, no, I mean, look, they did. They had a hell of a year. I mean,
I'm looking forward to give them the award. I'm sure they'll be very. They're actually my father. They always treat us great at the show, so I'm looking forward to giving that award to them at the show this year.
Yeah, likewise, I feel the same way, and I'll be excited when the team is there and we can present the awards. But they just everything that they're doing for themselves, everything they're doing for Ashton and other people, and then I like to put this last one in kind of its own category, but everything they do for Pete. I mean, fuck, man. I mean, Pete had a number 3 cigar on our list. It came out of that factory, T110 Broadleaf, which I know was that one was a big one for you too.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can tell you that he has got some stuff already. It's contending very high on 2023. So, I think that what I've seen the difference, though, I think whatever tobacco I think they've gotten better tobacco out of their farms, and I think they're working their pre-industry things a lot better, and I think it's showing on all the products. So,
yeah.
Good. Yeah.
I agree a lot.
Yeah.
What was I going to say? What other lists? Developing palettes had an interesting list.
I thought they did a solid job. With their list.
They had 2 Tatuahis on their list, didn't they?
They had a couple. Yeah, they gave Pete number 1.
I know.
So
Veracruz Blue was number 1.
No, it wasn't Veracruz Blue. It was.
That was the other one then. So what was number 1?
It was the Cojite. The Cojite. Capa Especial, which is a great cigar.
I still have a couple left. Yeah, those are good.
Yeah, and they gave Maria Lucia number 2, and they gave the 100 Años by my father number 3.
Yeah, they did.
And they gave Fine and Rare number 4,
which was your number 1.
Yep. Right after I gave it number 1, it started showing up. It showed up on the halfway list. Showed up on the development palettes list.
Right.
They are very tough reviewers. Those guys. So when you get on that, like they're I think Half-Wheel and Development Palettes are the 2 toughest reviewers out there. Development is brutal. I mean, they can be brutal on cigars. So I actually thought Maria Lucia was going to be their number 1. I know they were very high on that cigar. And look, great cigar by Luciano. That's what you need to be focusing on, Luciano. Forget the drama. Just focus on doing what you did with Maria Lucia and Mas Igneous, with 2 incredible releases this year.
I agree. Drama aside, Luciano still makes some great cigars. Developing Palettes just killed that Casa Magna Connecticut a bit. I didn't see that, but I know
they kill everything.
They
kill it. Aaron,
That's no special treatment. So
No, yeah. I was surprised. I mean, I was surprised that they killed it. But what was interesting is there were a couple of like some stuff on their list were killed by at least one. Like when you get down to the lower part of the list, you can find at least one reviewer who killed the cigar. So
right,
it was very hard to find a cigar where they all agreed on.
right. Yeah. So okay, and then let's get to the half wheel list. So the two lists. So first,
I
half
didn't.
wheels
Yeah.
in-house list, the top 25. Alfonso number 3.
Um, Look, I actually saw Patrick the day after the Monday following. It was on consensus day. I was at the airport, and I went up to Patrick. I said, Patrick, you guys did a great job with that number one. And I think they did. I think they did a nice job with their list this year. I like the fact that their list wasn't all about. I like the fact that their list wasn't like they tend to go with like these event only things they find but I like that they had something. The Alfonso is a cigar you can get. It's not a cheap cigar, but you can get
You
that
can get it.
cigar. And so I like that they did that. I did not agree with their number 2 or their number 3 or their number. When you got the next 4 I didn't agree with, but then after that I liked it. I didn't agree with 2, 3, or 4 or 5 at all. That Warp cigar wasn't that good.
Yeah, I was surprised with some of those in the top 10. I remember trying to call some out, and I'm like, oh, shit, really? Okay.
I didn't even know that they did a Master Selection Series 2014 release. And I cover Cigar Media, and Davidoff never talked about that cigar. They just threw it out there. They put and the Master Selections have made Coop lists in the past. They had those out a few years ago. So I didn't know that they did this 2014 one.
Yeah, Davidoff had a cigar on our list, and it was the limited edition 2022, the one they did with all 3.
I have a review coming up of that one pretty soon, yeah.
I really, really liked that cigar. I smoked a few of them. It was really good. Really, really good. It really impressed me. And, out of what they came out with, more specifically their limiteds, I thought last year's Winston Churchill, that double perfecto, I thought it was horrible. It just burned.
That's the one that made Cigar Journals. Yeah, that's why I was surprised with that one.
Burned like shit. The flavor was just not there. Just nothing about it was good.
Yeah.
And I know people go crazy for those when they come out. It's like, oh shit, but that one just didn't do it for me. It really did not. But that Davidoff LE 2022 was great. The Master Selection I didn't have, but
I didn't even know about it.
that was like you said, that was a quiet one. That one just kind of popped out of there.
Yeah, they just threw that out to the retailers, and if that's good. Kudos for them for finding it and putting it on. When I see releases like that where there's no effort put in, I don't think it should be on a cigar of the year list.
Yeah,
I think when there's no, you're not gonna put any effort into marketing that cigar. To me, then it's like, well, people aren't gonna know to look for. I'm not interested in giving you a diamond in the rough here. I'm interested in giving you top performing cigars that are somewhat accessible at your retailer.
I agree.
Yeah.
Looking at the half wheel consensus.
No surprises. There were no surprises with the consensus.
No.
Joe Groh called it with Saka Khan and Omac, and from the very beginning. So,
as did Mitchell.
Yeah.
It's just I knew. I mean, I said, look, Olmec's going to be high on that list. Saka's going to be on there at least 2 times. He got 3, which I don't think has ever been done before. 3? Has he ever done 3?
I'm not sure if anyone's gotten 3 on a consent. He had what do you call it? He had 2 in the top 5.
Saka Khan.
3 in the top 5.
It's Saka Khan, Bewitched, and Paladin.
Yeah. This is the consensus. This is where, if you're a person who is engaging with the media, you're going to get rewarded. And Saka engages with the media. And whether he sends people cigars or not, and he does, the reviewers like Saka. and they're going out and they're buying his cigars and they're prioritizing them in the reviews. So it's no secret, it's no surprise that he had three in the top five. That's what's going to happen. I'll be honest. If Espinosa had sent out Knuckle Sandwich Habanos to more media, they might have gotten challenged for that number one. They didn't send a lot of media samples out of that cigar. But people went and bought that because they bought into Guy Fieri.
Yeah.
So they prioritized that. General sends us cigars all year.
They do.
And I'm not saying, but what happens is I don't see those prioritized. I go in, first out order. Doesn't necessarily mean the order I publish the reviews, but that's how when I do a review cycle, it's based on when it comes in, is when I smoke it. So I try to give equal time for the most part with it.
Yeah, and it's funny because, look, General has some good cigars, and I never really see them pop up on lists.
They had only one cigar that had a shot at they did all those 59 releases last year. They only had one cigar that was even trending to get on my list. And it was the Hoya de Monterey Black. That was the only one that had any shot to get on my list, and it missed it. So they have to figure out how to stop sticking. They have to figure out throwing stuff and hoping something sticks to the wall, and just come up with a friggin' home run release that you could be really proud of and get behind. And I think they did a little bit of that with Cohiba M the year before, but they didn't do that last year. Even though I had problems with the Cohiba M, I think they did that with Cohiba M. They didn't have that type of cigar this year.
Yeah. I agree. And, they launched a flavored cigar last year, a flavor, 5 of them.
And I don't agree with Justin. That was a flop, okay? Because that cigar, for that price point, and it wasn't a bad cigar, they should have been selling the shit out of that cigar. Where it's just people should have been going and flocking to buy those because they were good. They were good flavored cigars they had.
Yeah, they were.
And I told Justin this, so it's not something I'm saying. Oh, someone wants to go run until I had a conversation with Justin about this in Nicaragua, about that flavor line. Yeah.
Drew Estate, pretty quiet. I think was 20 Acre Farm even on the consensus?
It was. H99 was at 8, and the 20 Acre Farm was at 11. So a little quiet. They didn't have the Joe Gross strategy of, blitzing the media this year. They didn't use that. So I think that's what happened. I think those cigars. If there were 20 Acre Farm humidors sent out to the media and tons of those boxes, I think that would have been higher. Same with the H99. I don't think they could have did that with the H99 based on availability, but
yeah, that's true. I agree, I'm curious to see. And Drew Estate had some changes at the end of the year this year too. So
yeah, no, but that's I don't. You know what? I think they proved that they know how to win the consensus and didn't need to do it again. I mean, let's be real. I mean, Undercrown 10 was a great cigar, right? But I think it went over the top because Drew Estate really worked with the media. And then Year of the Rat gets number 2 the year before. Year of the Rat you couldn't get. It was an event-only cigar. No one in the media would have had that cigar unless it was sent to them, right? So I think they proved they know how to manipulate the consensus, and I don't have a problem. I like the approach they're taking now. Just let their cigars perform as they may. I just would rather see that approach. So.
Yeah, I think that I already can see. I think the blackened is going to be big this year. I already see it. I see that being a big one. Come award season time, and we'll see what else they release. I'm sure they got tricks up their sleeve for this year.
Oh, I agree. I totally agree with you on that.
And they cut a lot of SKUs last year, which I think they had to do for a lot of reasons, but also. They want to keep coming out with new stuff. Well, you can't just keep coming out with new stuff and not getting rid of everything. So they got rid of a lot of SKUs. Yeah. So they made room for more releases in the years to come. Yes, they shed some weight but I think that they also made more availability for the future of new releases. That Freestyle Live, that's been huge for them.
Look, they got Company of the Year, large Company of the Year by us, right? And you can't. What they've done with Freestyle Live could not be underestimated. They've done a great job at launching these cigars. They have a platform where they're now really working the consumer channel better than any other company out there. and their releases are being targeted around consumer events like barn smokers.
Correct.
So they did a great job as a company last year, and I look at how the company operates, and I think they had a great year last year. By the way, I heard the Coop award was up in the booth, or not the award, but they had something in the booth up on Company of the Year. I think you told me. I think
They
you
did.
told me that.
They did.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yep. Cigar Coop was in the booth.
yeah.
Cigar Coop wasn't there, but Cigar Coop was in the booth.
Yeah, no,
which was cool.
well, I did. Yeah, I saw Drew Estate over the weekend though beforehand. So
No, I know.
yeah, yeah.
So that was interesting. But yeah, so overall, I mean, I think there was a lot of stuff that we saw coming. Because look, there's a handful of cigars that I think everyone kind of goes like, everyone can agree like these cigars are going to be hot, and they showed up on most lists. Okay.
Yeah.
And then there's just the wild card ones, and we mentioned some with Jimmy, we mentioned some with Half Wheel, we mentioned some with Dojo, and there was just there's always those cigars that you're like, wow, where'd that come from?
Yeah.
I don't think it was the worst year for lists, but it definitely was a little more predictable, I think, than years past.
No, look, I think the other thing is you saw the decline of the YouTubers this year with their lists.
Yeah.
Some guys just got off of YouTube. I get it. In the YouTube lists, I would have loved to have seen a YouTube consensus, because I think you would have saw some really strange cigars on that, like Bocock Brothers. The YouTubers were all over the Bocock Brothers. Like, and I think they're average cigars. They're not bad, but I actually just recently smoked one. It's not bad, but YouTubers seem to love the Bocock Brothers.
Yeah, that's a brand I have seen a lot of attention from some of the smaller media guys.
They've never attempted to communicate with me once as a Bocock. They've never attempted. I don't know how to.
Same with us.
Yeah, I mean, and I just then you have Matt. We have 50 other companies who are knocking on our door. So I mean, I can't give them the attention like the 50 other companies who are really trying. And I'm not saying I'm giving them preference, but you know what? I at least want to try to review the cigars of people who are communicating with us. So not saying they're going to get.
If they make the effort, you have to as well. If they don't make the effort, then you can't, because you're already making the effort to everyone else.
Right. So, I encourage, but Bocock Brothers, feel free to reach out to us if you want. If you're interested in us covering you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
If you're not, then fine. We won't have to. We'll if we can get to you, we get to you. That's how I look at it.
I agree.
Yeah.
Was there anything else about lists that you wanted to point out that was kind of like, different that you wanted to mention or whatever?
No, I think we hit all the points with that. It was, again, I think we both had pretty solid number ones. Obviously, Alfonso did make the consensus. I think you guys probably put it over the top with Half Wheel. And look, I think it was, I think what I'll say is, I know Cigar Authority didn't rate that number one, but it was kind of weird, right? That they didn't get, and I know they gave Atabey number one, but I think their reasoning was it didn't come out in time, and I can understand that. And same thing, it came out too late. When these come out too late in the year, it's hard to kind of do what you need to do to kind of prep this as a number one cigar. So I bet next year will be another story with that.
Yeah, I am interested to see how Alfonso performs this year. I think you're going to see it pop up on other lists again. I know it's on your list already. I mean,
when you have cigars like Atabey and Byron, right, it's very hard to do an encore. It's very hard to top that, right? They did. They did with the Alfonso line. Mm-hmm. They absolutely did. That is an incredible job by Nelson Alfonso, what he did delivering that cigar to market. It was a long time coming, and he waited, and he made sure it was right. I'm telling you, they went on fire with that one.
I'm smoking a Ritos right now. I don't even know if I told you.
No, I'm still finishing up my Lonsdale, my thick Lonsdale, which is really good, by the way. Strong. Nice bold cigar.
Yeah, I got to get some of those. Yeah, I mean, it is hard. It is hard, and they've done extremely well. I know that they have more stuff they're working on. which
There's more. Yeah, I mean, if you look at some of our trade show coverage, you'll get a glimpse into some of that stuff because they were showing future projects.
they were, and I know that I've seen some. I'll be careful with what I say, but I've seen some concepts.
Yeah, I mean, there's even concepts that you saw that weren't at the trade show, right? So there's not.
Yeah.
But I mean, look, there's the Nelson line that's coming out.
Mm-hmm.
There's another release of the another extension of the Alfonso, another blend coming out with that. Those will show at the trade show. I don't think they're rushing those. I think you may not see those for another year.
Yes, there is what we saw. We saw a glimpse of a different blend of Alfonso.
Yeah.
The Alfonso, where is I have some. So the Alfonso that came out this year was definitely on the lighter side. And it came. Here's one. Has the white and the blue. There is an Alfonso that has a black and a red. That's more of a fuller bodied blend, which there was a glimpse at the trade show. There was an Atabey humidor that was dead center of the booth, black, not the white,
not shipping.
Black.
Yeah, it had every Atabey in it.
Every Atabey. I think it's 5 of each.
That sounds right.
It's 5 of each size.
But they also had a Byron one, not a little different concept, but I don't think they released the Alfonso one because they didn't want to conflict it with the Byron one. So I kind of, but they were showing these are the projects they have, and it kind of had a little more of an expo feel they had. But I think it still keeps, I thought it was really a key strategy with. This is why United again I thought killed it at the trade show this year and Selected Tobacco, is you're trying to get customers into a luxury booth. And you're saying, look, this is what we're doing now, but look what we got coming down the pipeline. If you kind of bring us in, it was a well executed. That's why United was my company of the trade show. No one else did that. I mean, it was just the booth was incredible.
That's why they were my company of the year.
I voted. They were very close. They finished a very close third. But my vote was only 1/5 of it. So, but yeah, they were they were totally worthy company of the year.
Yeah, I mean, I think that you're going to continue to see more stuff from Selected. I think you're going to see more stuff being added just to the United umbrella. That is definitely a company that's on fire. I think that they still have momentum going into this year. I'm going to tell you this right now. Another prediction I have about United is I anticipate another brand being added to the portfolio. We saw Arnold Andre, Yaya, be added under their distribution. We saw them introduce Red Anchor in-house. Was there another one?
No doubt.
I think that was all.
I think, yeah. Arnold Andre was a huge move. I'll talk about that in a second, but finish your point, yeah.
My point just ends with, I think this year you'll see at least one more brand be added into the umbrella, whether it's like something United releases on their own or it's someone that they bring in to distribute. I think you see someone else. And I'm not saying that because I have any information. I don't know that. No one has told me any information, to be clear. Just making a prediction based on how well they've performed and the moves that they made in the last 2 years. I think they're going to continue that growth. And I bet you they try to get another brand under that umbrella to keep growing the company, because I think it's a company that, as long as they continue to do that and those cigars sell and their business is good, I think that they're going to continue growing and adding more and more brands, and it'll become a bigger and bigger company. And it just seems like the path that they're on. And I think they're being well suited to do that. So time will tell, but that's my prediction for United. I think they just keep growing. They seem like they're on a roll.
Yeah, I mean, look, they've talked about this, so it's public. They moved into a warehouse, so they have a bigger warehouse facility, and they're going to be able to accommodate this stuff. But the Arnold Andre move, I said it at the beginning of the year, that was a monster move they made. They've got the U.S. distribution. Arnold Andre's a giant, okay? And they only brought a small set of, I think, what they have. But here's the other thing, Matt. ProCigar added them as the 12th company to the ProCigar organization. That's a big move. They make cigars in the Dominican. They have a presence in the Dominican. So I think that was an unbelievable. And I got to meet the Arnold Andre guys back at the hotel. I was talking to them. They're great guys, and I was congratulating them. Because I thought when they announced they were going to do a 12th company, I got to be honest, I didn't think of Arnold Andre, and I should have. But I thought it might have been El Artista. I was wondering if it would be El Artista, right?
I could see that.
I could see it too. But Arnold Andre is a monster of a brand. Okay, so and Dave and United and Oliver, they have they have the exclusive U.S. distribution for that.
Right.
We haven't. We're going to see a lot more from that. Trust me. This is just the beginning of that.
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see what else they do, and and it's funny because you get like you have United as a whole, but then you have United, and then Selected Tobacco is really its own division. It's so big.
That was why I think that's why I think it lost company. United lost company of the year because I think a lot of people viewed them separate on our team. But the trade show we kind of counted them as a joint. It was United and Selected got a joint because they were very tied to the hip at the trade show. So, but I think when it came to company of the year, there was some people thought maybe Selected did better than United. So on our team, so I think that's how that went.
Yeah,
because we look at that purely as a company thing. We don't look at the distribution with that.
Yeah, and I'm excited to see. I'm excited to see what they present at PCA this year too. I bet you we see another Selected Tobacco concept that's just there, one thing. Oh, there's something we're working on later.
Yeah, I think Nelson may be the one they push this year, possibly. So
it sounds to me from last year like it was being shown as like, hey, like check this out. But I think Alfonso was released. It performed. It won awards. Okay, that one's out. Let's get Nelson going. And Nelson's a very different project than Alfonso.
Nelson's the opposite.
It's 4 different cigars, 5 different cigars.
Yeah, but it's affordable. It's an affordable luxury category.
And it's kind
of like Bandolero.
Luxury. Correct. Yeah. The Bandolero line, they tweaked a little bit and changed and kind of cleaned up a little bit, and I think that's done even better. So like that's taken care of. Atabey and Byron, I think, are all set. Alfonso is all set. Now adding, like I said, I know that there is at least a concept, and it's something I assume is coming down the line. There is another extension to the Alfonso line that we did see. And I'm sure maybe we'll hear more about that this year. I think maybe this year they focus on Nelson, and then maybe they go, hey, next year, and then in 24, I think we see that next branch off of Alfonso. Like, okay, now this is what we're pushing, and I think so on and so forth. That's how it'll go.
I'm telling you, Atabey Maduro's coming. Mm-hmm. Right? And I have no information. But
no information. I don't know anything.
I don't know anything. I'm telling you, I don't know anything, Oliver. But when they did that NFT, they kind of did those mock-ups. I think that was something planned. I think there was something planned with that. So I don't think we'll see. We may not see it for a couple of years, but I think that's something in that pipeline. It'd be crazy not to add another extension to Atabey. That's their flagship line. So why not put a Maduro into that Atabey? I mean, to me, it makes all the sense in the world. And they don't have Selected doesn't have a really true Maduro, so it makes all the sense in the world to do that for this market.
Yeah, I think so, and I think if they do it, they're gonna do a dark Maduro, not just like a darker or stronger. I think they go like dark, real full.
But I don't think they go bold. I think they come out with a very nuanced Maduro in the Atabey mold. So a milder Maduro is what I would expect from that, but very flavorful.
Something really sweet.
Yeah.
Really sweet, balanced, clean. Yeah. A lot more strength than the existing Atabey line. I don't know. I feel like they go dark. I feel like they go really dark and sweet on it.
I think they go dark and sweet, but I think it's mild and strength.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I just think. Yeah. So, but I think they need a Maduro as well. So, but I don't think they're gonna do it quickly because they did sell those NFTs, and I think they want to let that ride the course for a while. I'm sure. I bet you they do another NFT. I bet you they're gonna do another NFT down the line.
Jay Davis says Atabey and Byron, like Diamond Crown, need a Maximus type cigar that is bolder, but Coop is probably correct and I am wrong. See, like that's kind of like what I was saying.
Yeah, Bandolero really is probably the bolder, but it's not in the same category as Atabey and Byron. You know what I mean? I think Bandolero is a separate animal. but I think they need something that like that tier of luxury. They need that spike, like a Maximus type. I agree with Jay. I agree with Jay on that. Why is Jay, man? You should be partying in Miami, man.
Jay's here. Mitchell's here. Mike's here. Skip's here. Barbara's here. Barbara and Kevin are here. The A-Cuffs are here.
Hey.
This is the second time I saw this question come up. Did you smoke the Santa Muerte Ray release?
The Santa Muerte was it, wait, say that again. Which one? St. Louis Ray or Santa Muerte?
Santa Muerte Ray release.
I smoked Santa Muerte but I don't remember Santa Muerte Ray.
The BLTC.
Okay, that's the Santa Muerte.
Yeah.
Yes, I have.
So
yes, I have.
I haven't, but you have.
I have. It's a very good cigar. I think that it's one of those like small batch limiteds they have out.
I think that's one of the ones they just announced, right? Isn't that new?
I believe that was one of the ones they announced. They may have tweaked it a bit. But yeah, I love what Black Label's doing. I smoked their new SNR as well. It was really good. So yeah. Santa Muerte just became a core line under Santa Muerte. Now I'm correcting myself. It was a small batch release. Now it's been added to their core line.
Yeah, that's what it is. I forgot about it for a second. I apologize, guys, who were asking about that. But I remember. I haven't had it, but I remember the cigar now. Coop, you have had it, is what you're saying.
I have. Yeah, I have had it. It's a very good cigar.
Okay.
Not anything I would take away from it. And I'm glad. Like James is, I think, rebuilding his core line under Black Label right now. The problem with James's cigars, I think, is limiteds were just overshadowing his core lines. So now he's looking at some of his limiteds and seeing where it makes sense to put them into a core line. Santa Muerte first came out in 2016. So they've kind of changed the banding and the packaging a bit on it. They put white bands with black font on it. I think it's going to be a good addition to their portfolio. And it's a very good cigar. I've had it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's on my list.
The Corona Gorda is fantastic in that size, a 5.5 by 48.
Okay. Good to know.
Yeah.
Good to know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anything else on end of the year stuff?
No, I think we covered it.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I just wanted to at least glaze over it.
Yeah.
But I think we hit all the strong points.
Yeah. No, I think we did too.
So I would say that's it. End of the year stuff is done, finally. We covered mostly TPE and the takeaways that we both had from it. We talked a little bit about ProCigar. Now, I know we're going to probably wait on the Alec Bradley stuff, so I'll save that for the next show.
We'll save that for Mitchell, so because we could go on about that. And I think maybe we may know a little more in the next few weeks, by the next show.
That's true, too. I think it's still developing. One of the things I wanted to say is, because it reminds me of the Room 101 acquisition, right? Now, I saw Matt, all the Forge guys were there, General was there. Obviously, one of the big things is Matt has been really keen on continuing to make his cigars at the factories that he was already doing business with before the buyout. So one of those, obviously, was the Ventura factory, which burned down last fall. I talked to Matt about it. I talked to Henderson about it. We have an interview with Henderson from TPE that is out that you can watch. But they are rebuilding the factory. They're building it twice the size as it was before.
And they didn't lose as much tobacco as people think. They had a lot of tobacco in other places.
True. So there is that. They have been able to make cigars at Henderson's father's factory, which is smaller, and they've only been able to produce about half as many cigars as they normally would. They've been able to at least survive with what they have with that factory, which is good. They can still get some stuff out. They can still get some stuff going. But it sounds like they have a new factory I think it'll be done this year sometime, and it'll be double than what they had. So not only will they be able to kind of go back to where they were, they are going to be able to increase production and it sounds like it's going to be their own factory. They were leasing that from Hochi Blanco,
Yeah,
and
because that was
I don't know if you know, but I also found out at the trade show. I sat down with Carson and Tony Serino, and they were on the other half of that building, and they also lost 2 million cigars in that fire.
that was the inter tobacco or something. It was yeah, it was the other factory.
Yeah, and they were a little bit quieter about it, but Tony Serino told me personally they lost 2 million cigars in that fire.
All right, so this is what I understand though about that. Okay, Tony, it hurt Tony's private label piece. It didn't hurt the premium piece. That was
Okay.
my understanding. Now, it's because most of the premium stuff comes out of Nicaragua, with the exception of one line they make out of Hochi under the Tiano. But from what I understand, but Tony has a huge. You guys said this affected Tony. Sereno's private label business is monstrous. Is what I'm just saying.
Right.
So that really that to say it, yes, it had a big effect, but I don't think it affected like the Serenos or the Wayfarers or anything like that. It's this other stuff which absolutely is the core of that company. So it was a big hit for them. Yeah.
So they also took a big hit from that fire.
Yeah, they did. They took a hit, man.
I think they are also building a new factory on their own. I
Yeah.
think, from what I understand. So
Yeah.
both of those companies have moved on. They've been able to pivot quickly, and kind of move on from that situation. And they're not, Adventura was not showing any new products because of that. Matt was teasing his return of the Daruma.
What a bad job Bruno Lana did with that, and Fords in general. I'm gonna say it straight. Why tease that? Get a mock-up of that thing at the booth. You had a separate booth for Room 101. This is a chance to really put the brand on center stage there. And you laid a nothing burger with that. Just putting a little grab. It was a terrible job. I'm sorry, Matt. I'll say it. That was
Wow.
You missed an opportunity. You missed a big opportunity with a cigar that people are craving for to come back, the Daruma. You missed an opportunity with that. That was terrible. I mean, I'm sorry. I know we love Matt and everything, but that was a bad job. Bad job. I mean,
It's funny.
You had center stage.
I didn't really think about that, but since
Yeah.
you brought it up, it's funny because I remember a few years ago being at the trade show, and Matt had first kind of teased the Namakubi coming back.
He
had boxes there.
He had boxes. He was talking about the project. To just put honestly, it was like I almost thought it was like an afterthought. I think this was important though because the difference is Matt was doing that under his own brand. This was a chance for STG to show what Room 101 is a glimpse into the future of Room 101. That was a big miss by STG. And I'll say it to Justin, I'll say it to Matt. You guys missed an opportunity here. So you better get to work another way to kind of promote that because people want that cigar to come back. The rumor and the Namakubi are the two that people wanted back the most.
And I'm hearing rumblings. There's another fan favorite that also might be coming back from Room 101.
Yeah.
Do you know which one I'm talking about? I mean, I'm going to say it. I just want to know if you know which one I'm talking about.
I don't know. I'd have to guess it. I don't know.
Uncle Lee.
Boy, they better be careful how General. You better be careful how you release that one. But yeah, I don't think it's gonna come in the cereal box. But Uncle Lee should absolutely come back. That was a fan favorite. You're right. I mean, don't do cereal boxes though, General.
I'm hearing Uncle Lee is possibly in the works to make its return.
Oh, it's coming back. I mean, they'd be stupid not to back.
And I got that information from a pretty credible source. So, I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
It would be interesting though. But you're right. I mean, I don't know if the rumor free. Yeah, well, that's how we roll here.
It has nothing. Yeah, but okay. But the rumor has nothing to do with being rumor free. It has nothing to do with teasing it. It was an opportunity for General or STG, let's say STG, to really show what Room 101 future is going to look like. And you're not going to PCA. At least that's the plan, right?
Right.
This was your chance to put this in front of consumers. Do a mock-up of the box or something. I mean, God, I mean, this was a bit. I'm sorry, this was a huge miss. And and Matt was in a separate kiosk, right, from everybody else.
He was on his own.
So this, why not?
You know what? Now that you say it, you know what? Yeah, I agree. Because you know what? He's done this before. With stuff like that. Yeah, he could have had something there.
It's not the teaser part that's bothering me. It's the opportunity. People want to know, like, what is Room 101 going to look like on the STG? Those other releases all came out. They were all planned before the acquisition. Now it's post-acquisition. This was important. I'd love to see something a little more than that. So, I mean, and like I said, he could have did it just like he did it at PCA with the Namakubis. Maybe the cigars aren't right, but we saw those purple boxes and everything. Like, we were excited about that stuff.
Oh yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, Nicole got me one of those for my birthday.
Yeah.
I have one of those. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
And I'll never throw that box away. That box is
Yeah.
like gonna go in like the
I don't blame.
archives.
Oh, it's a beautiful box, right? And I'm sure the room is going to be a beautiful box too. So that's why I'm just like, well,
I think it's gonna follow under that same theme of the 10-count box with the very beautiful paper tubes around the cigar that he's been doing. He did that with several of his cigars, including the Namakubi, Johnny Tobacco Knot. And I think that's cool, and I think it's gonna be. But yeah, it would have been nice to see like a concept of it, especially if you're not going to PCA, and you're not gonna see it there. It's like that's the show. Show it. But it's funny because I know a lot of people have been sending emails out there already taking pre-orders for it, and it's already almost sold out. So
they were taking pre-orders for the
not at the show, but after the show, I got emails from some retailers like, "Oh, we're taking pre-orders."
For which one? For which cigar?
The Daruma.
So they must have taken orders at the show. They can't take pre-orders unless there was an order submitted at the show.
Kevin Acuff, that Namakubi purple box brought a lot of attention to the booth at PCA when he had it there. And Kevin would know. Kevin was working in the booth at that time.
I remember that. Yeah, Kevin was there.
Yeah, absolutely. It did. And people kept touching it, and Matt was like slapping their hand away.
Me too. Me too. I touched it. You got mad at me.
But yeah, it was there, and it brought attention. So I don't know. I think maybe part of it is they were trying not to bring. But that's the thing. If they're taking pre-orders of it from retailers at the show, you're drawing attention to it. I know that he was. I think it's still being made by Ventura.
I think so.
I think it is.
I don't think it was originally made by. I mean, those were Davidoff cigars.
Right. But now Davidoff's no longer in the picture with them.
Right.
So.
Yeah. So I think
especially
they're
with
making
STG.
Yeah.
And I don't think Matt would ever work with Davidoff again.
No, I don't think so either.
So, yeah. So I think he probably went to Ventura for that one because I thought I remember him saying something about Ventura and waiting and this and that. But it sounds like they're already taking pre-orders of it, and they were showcasing something for it. He did talk about it in the interview. But yeah, you're right. It was disappointing that there was not a mock-up of the box at least. People could see it like, wow.
Yeah, just something. I just think it was important, right? And it really, they didn't talk much about the release either. It was like, hey, you want to order this? And there was like a spec sheet, and there wasn't even much on that spec sheet. So
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, other than that, that's really what I got this week.
That's what I got too.
Busy week, busy couple of weeks, a lot of stuff to unpack, and there's still more, but we're going to save it for the next show. But crazy. It sounds like very productive. You had a great trip. We had a great trip. I think that's the most important part. But other than that, Coop, I think that's our stopping point. Yeah,
I think we're good this week. We covered a lot.
Alrighty, guys. Well, hey, the next time we're on here, I think we'll be kicking off the fundraiser, which is kicking off March 17th, 9 a.m. As always, you can visit smokeandtobacco.com for more news and information, as well as cigar-coop.com. Don't forget to like and subscribe on our YouTube channel and everywhere podcasts can be found. And we'll see you next week. Take care.
Take care, everybody.